So let me ask you this. In today's market, are you investing in a real revolution or just a really good story? Honestly, that's the billion-dollar question. Today, we're going to dig into how you can cut through all the hype to find what's real in a world of what we're calling narrative whiplash.
All right, first up, let's talk about the biggest trap for investors right now. Getting sucked into a compelling story that's, well, built on a pretty fragile foundation.
And man, this quote from Benzinga just hits the nail on the head, right? After years of just riding these chaotic trends, investors are finally being forced to take a step back and question the stories they've been buying into. It feels like the era of blindly trusting in the next big thing is coming to an end, and probably for good reason.
In that skepticism, it's a reaction to this feeling of narrative whiplash. You know what I'm talking about? It's that feeling of being jerked around as the market obsesses over a new story every single week. One day it's an AI breakthrough, the next it's a surprise IPO, and all of a sudden a company's actual performance starts to matter less than its role in the latest plot twist.
And you can see exactly how this risk plays out right here. Think about it. A broad fund like the QQQ is spread out. It holds giants like Microsoft and NVIDIA that have tons of different, solid ways of making money. But thematic funds, whoa, they go all in on one single story. And when that story hits a speed bump or the headlines just move on, they are the ones who get hit the hardest.
But what if the story is actually true? You know, sometimes all that hype isn't just noise. It's a signal, a sign of a massive, real shift happening under the surface. So let's look at one theme that's making a pretty convincing billion-dollar case for itself.
And that's really the core question, isn't it? When you're staring at one of these super-focused, thematic bets, how in the world do you tell the difference between a flash in the pan and, a genuine revolution in the making?
Okay, just look at this number. The Defiance Quantum ETF, ticker QTUM, didn't just have a good year in 2024, it absolutely skyrocketed over 50%. Now, a jump like that, that's not just random market noise. That is a huge signal that investors believe they've found something with real, lasting substance.
And it wasn't just a quick price spike either. The fund blew past $1 billion in assets. $1 billion! That means we're talking about serious, big money capital flowing in. The market isn't just whispering about the quantum story anymore. It is shouting it from the rooftops with its checkbook, showing a deep belief that this is the real deal. Okay, so what is this revolution that's pulling in all this cash and attention? Let's peel back the layers and get right inside the actual technology that's powering this whole billion-dollar bet.
At its heart, what we're talking about is a totally new way to compute. Your laptop, your phone, they use bits. Think of them like a light switch. It's either on or it's off, 1 or 0. Simple. But a quantum computer, it uses quantum bits. And these are more like dimmer switches. They can be on, off, and every single shade in between, all at the exact same time. It's kind of mind-bending, but that's what unlocks this just unbelievable level of processing power.
And hey, this isn't some CGI from a sci-fi movie. This is the real thing. It's absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? This wild-looking quantum chandelier is where the magic really happens. All that crazy wiring is there to control the super fragile quantum states of the qubits at its core, usually at temperatures colder than outer space. It's a massive engineering puzzle.
And the speed of progress here, it's just mind-blowing. 2024 was the year this stuff leaped from being a theory on a whiteboard to a demonstrated reality. Think about this. In December, a Google chip solved a problem in 5 minutes. 5 minutes! A problem that would take the fastest supercomputer we have today. I mean, the number is so big it doesn't even make sense. 10 septillion years. So now the race is on to make these systems stable and scalable.
So why does all this matter? Because you can aim this incredible power at some of the planet's biggest, gnarliest problems. We're talking about designing new drugs that could save millions of lives, creating AIs that are way more powerful than what we have now, and building encryption that is literally unbreakable. The potential impact here isn't just a little improvement. It's a complete game changer for pretty much every industry you can think of.
And you better believe that kind of game-changing potential has not gone unnoticed. This isn't just a few companies competing anymore. Oh no, this has kicked off a full-blown global race for technological supremacy.
I mean, just look at the money involved here. These aren't small grants. These are billions of dollars in public funding being funneled into this tech. Governments all over the world are treating quantum like a strategic national asset, right up there with AI and semiconductors. This is a big deal.
And what are they chasing? An absolutely massive prize. Projections show this market just exploding.
hitting nearly $100 billion in about a decade. This, right here, is what the beginning of a fundamental economic shift looks like.
And check out who the customer is going to be. Right now, it's mostly governments buying this stuff. But fast forward to 2035, and the private sector is expected to be the main driver. We're talking about telecom companies, big banks, healthcare. They're all lining up to get in on this.
You can also see this global race playing out in the world of patents, and it's fascinating to see the different strategies. You've got China filing a ton of patents on the actual quantum computing hardware. Meanwhile, the US is really leading the pack on patents for quantum communication and sensing, basically the tech that will secure our future networks and build unbelievable new sensors.
So this brings us full circle, right back to where we began. We've talked about the danger of narrative whiplash, but we've also just looked at a theme with huge investment, breakneck technological progress, and global strategic importance. So, how do we know this one is the real deal?
And I think this quote from Sylvia Jablonski, the CEO of the firm behind that QTM fund, it just explains everything. Their huge bet on quantum wasn't just them jumping on a trend. No way. It was a strategic move they made years ago because they understood a fundamental truth. AI was eventually going to need way more computing power than our classic computers could ever give it. That is the difference between just chasing a good story and actually seeing a revolution before it happens.
And so, in the end, that's the question we want to leave you with. The next time you see a hot new theme, ask yourself, is the story you're hearing just a headline, ready to get blown away by the next big thing? Or is it backed by real technological shifts, huge amounts of capital, and a clear vision for the future? Because in this age of narrative whiplash, knowing how to tell the difference, well, that's everything.